Zeus, the birth of a god. In the dawn of time, on the mountaintop of Mount Olympus, the gods and goddesses looked down upon the mortal realm. In the celestial realm, Zeus was born to the Titan Cronus and his wife Rhea. Prophecies foretold that one of Cronus's children would overthrow him. It was Cronus's mother Gaia who prophesied this, and that it would be one of his children, so he swallowed them all. Rhea, pregnant with Zeus and heartbroken over the loss of her offspring, devised a plan to save Zeus by feeding Cronus a rock instead of her baby. Rhea then sought the help of Mother Earth, Gaia, who hid the infant Zeus in a cave on Mount Ida in Crete. It's often associated with a cave called Dictaton Cave, located on Mount Dicte. Raised by nymphs and nourished by the divine goat Amalthea, Zeus grew into a strong and clever child. They protected and fed him, shielding him from his father's wrath. The exact time he spent on Crete as a child is not precisely defined in the myths, but the island Crete holds an essential place in the Zeus mythos as his birthplace and as a sanctuary that played a role in his upbringing. As he matured, he sensed the immense power within him and realized his destiny to rule over the cosmos. Zeus concocted a plan to free his siblings and challenge his tyrannical father. Zeus grew in strength and wisdom, awaiting his moment to reclaim his birthright. Metis, a daughter of the Titans Oceanus and Theseus, gave her cousin Zeus a potion which would cause his father Cronus to vomit out his siblings. The time had come for Zeus to fight for his birthright, now that his siblings were freed. The Clash of the Titans. The Titanomachy, an epic battle between the Titans and the Olympian gods, led into battle by Zeus. The Titans are a powerful group of primordial deities, and the children of Uranus, the sky, and Gaia, the earth. In classic mythological fate, they were overthrown by their own children, the Olympian gods. As in the time before, the leader of the Titans, Cronus, had overthrown his own father, Uranus, who had swallowed some of his own children out of fear that they would overthrow him. The most famous story comes from Hesiod's Theogony. In this version, Cronus and the Titans are defeated by Zeus and the other Olympian gods. With the aid of his siblings, Hades and Poseidon, Zeus led a fierce rebellion against the Titans. Thankfully, Zeus's mastery of the thunderbolts and lightning proved to be a formidable weapon, leading to the eventual triumph of the Olympian gods. A horrible uproar of terrible strife arose. Mighty deeds were shown and the battle inclined. But until then, they kept at one another and fought continually in a cruel war. And amongst and foremost Codus, Berarios, and Gaius, insatiate for war, raised fierce fighting. 300 rocks, one upon another, they launched them from their strong hands and overshadowed the Titans with their missiles, hurled them beneath the earth and the wide path earth, and bound them in bitter chains when they had conquered them by the strength for all the Great Spirit as far beneath the earth as heaven is above the earth, for so far is from earth to Tartarus. Zeus claimed the throne as the supreme ruler of the universe, banishing Cronus and the defeated Titans to the dark depths of the earth and imprisoned them in Tartarus, a deep abyss within the underworld. Together with his brothers, he divided the dominion of the cosmos, beginning the gods, the heaven, earth, and sea. The gods established their abode on Mount Olympus, from where they would govern the world and its inhabitants. This myth symbolizes the transition from an older order to a newer, more organized and just order, and represents the victory of order over chaos. It's a foundational element in Greek mythology, illustrating the themes of power struggles, generational conflicts, and the establishment of divine rulership. The battle with Typhon, the ultimate challenge. The battle with Typhon is a mythological event from Greek mythology that involves a powerful and monstrous creature named Typhon. Typhon was considered one of the most fearsome and dangerous adversaries in Greek mythology, often depicted as a fire-breathing giant with multiple heads and serpentine features. The myth of the battle with Typhon is most famously described in the work of Hesiod, a Greek poet who lived around 700 BCE. In his epic poem, Theogony, according to this myth, Typhon was born from Gaia, the earth. He was intended to be a force of great destruction, challenging the rule of Zeus, as Gaia was very angry that her children had been imprisoned in the underworld. But when Zeus had driven the Titans from the heaven, huge earth bore her youngest child, Typhonus, of the love of Tartarus and the aid of golden Aphrodite. Strength was in his hands, all that he did, and the feet of a strong god were untiring. From his shoulders grew 100 heads of a snake and fearful dragon with dark, flickering tongues, and from the under the brows of his eyes in his marvelous heads flashed fire, and fire burned from his head as he glared. And there were voices in all his dreadful heads, which uttered every kind of sound unspeakable, for at one time they made sounds such that the gods understood, but at another the noise of a bull bellowing aloud in proud, ungovernable fury, and at another the sound of a lion, relentless of heart, and at another sounds like whelps, wonderful to hear, and again at another he would hiss so that the high mountains re-echoed. In the battle with Typhon, the gods of Mount Olympus faced a formidable opponent. Typhon sought to overthrow the reigning Olympian gods, including Zeus, the king of the gods. The description of the battle varies in different accounts, but it typically involves a fierce struggle between Typhon and Zeus, who used his thunderbolts as weapons. Typhon's immense power initially overwhelmed Zeus, forcing him to retreat as an eagle. Gathering strength and resolve, Zeus returned to face the monstrous foe. This myth emphasizes the immense power and chaos that Typhon represented. However, with the help of the other gods and his own strength, Zeus eventually managed to defeat Typhon, imprisoning him beneath Mount Etna in Sicily. In a titanic clash, Zeus ultimately emerged victorious, banishing Typhon to the depths of Tartarus, solidifying his position as the unrivaled king of gods. Zeus, the chief deity in Greek mythology, was not only a powerful figure, but also a leader within the pantheon of gods. As the ruler of Mount Olympus, Zeus held a significant leadership role in the mythological world. Zeus was a just and wise ruler. He was the upholder of divine law, the enforcer of oaths, and the guardian of guests and supplicants. His role was to maintain order and balance among the gods and mortals alike. Zeus's mighty thunderbolts commanded awe and respect from both mortals and immortals, reminding them of his unmatched power. However, he was not without flaws, as his legendary charm and amorous nature often led him into passionate affairs with both goddesses and mortal women. Zeus was considered the supreme ruler of the gods and had final authority in divine matters. His decisions were binding, and other gods respected his authority. Zeus was responsible for maintaining order in the cosmos. He ensured that the laws of the gods were upheld and that chaos was kept in check. He was often depicted as a lawgiver, settling divine standards that all gods and mortals should abide by. These decisions ranged from settling disputes among the gods to determining the fates of heroes and intervening in mortal affairs. He defended Olympias against threats and stood up against beings that challenged the divine order. As a leader, Zeus had to manage many relationships within the pantheon. This sometimes involved mediating conflicts between other gods and ensuring harmony among the different divine personalities. Zeus faced challenges from various sources, including rebellious titans and giants, as well as conflict with other gods, such as his father Cronus. His ability to overcome these challenges demonstrated his leadership qualities. Love affairs and the divine offspring. Zeus's love affairs were numerous, and he fathered countless demigods. His offspring includes Athena, Apollo, Artemis, Hermes, Persephone, Dionysus, and Hercules, just to name a few. According to Hesiod, after the Titanomachy, Metis and Zeus got married. In an odd twist of fate, a prophecy was told that once Zeus had a child with her, that her daughter would be wiser than Metis, and their son would be much more powerful than Zeus. Fearing this, Zeus swallowed her after he told her to turn herself into what is believed to be a fly. However, Metis was already pregnant with their daughter. To ensure that her child could be born, Metis crafted armor, a spear, and a shield for her daughter, whom she raised in the mind of Zeus. Athena then banged those armor together to give her father a headache. Hephaestus cut Zeus's head open, and Athena emerged fully grown, wearing the armor her mother made her. Athena became the goddess of wisdom, warfare, and crafts.
She is often portrayed as a wise and strategic deity associated with the owl as a symbol of wisdom. According to the myth, Athena emerged fully grown and armored from the forehead of her father Zeus, which makes her one of the very few deities in Greek mythology to have no actual mother. Athena and Zeus share a familial relationship, with Athena being one of Zeus's children. She is one of the 12 Olympian goddesses and holds a special place in Greek mythology due to her association with wisdom, strategy, and civilization. Themis, whose parents were Uranus and Gaia, and was also the aunt of Zeus, was one of his original brides and his very first counselor. Themis was the first goddess who showed mankind how to live with the primal laws of justice and also taught them morality. Themis was a titaness of divine law, order, and custom, and who is often associated with justice and the natural order of things. She was also known as the Oracle of Delphi before Apollo took over that role. Their children were the Horai, the goddesses of the seasons, Irene, whose peace, Eunomia, whose good order, and Dike, whose justice. Also, the Morai, the personifications of fate, which are Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos. Zeus's most rocky and troubled union was with Hera, who was the goddess of marriage, family, childbirth, and women. Despite being his sister and wife, Hera was one of Zeus's most significant lovers. Their children were Ares, the god of war, and Hephaestus, the blacksmith of the gods. Despite her divine beauty and power, Zeus's infidelity strained their marriage, leading to frequent conflicts between them. Hera was also known for her jealousy and wrath, often punishing Zeus's mortal lovers and their offspring. Despite their differences, Zeus and Hera were bound by their shared rule over the heavens and their children, as she was the queen of the gods and goddesses. Over time, Zeus learned to be more cautious in his romantic escapades. However, it never truly ended. Demeter, who was the goddess of harvest, agriculture, and the fertility of the earth, also one of the 12 Olympians. Now, myth states that Zeus and Demeter mated as intertwining serpents, and from this union, Persephone was born. Further to the myth, it states that Hades, by the permission of Zeus, abducted her, and Demeter, full of anger and sadness, brought down upon famine onto the earth until Zeus agreed for her to come home. They also had a son, Lacus, through this union. Another one of Zeus's lovers is Callisto, a nymph and a follower of the goddess Artemis, known for her exceptional beauty and hunting skills. However, her story takes a tragic turn when Zeus becomes infatuated with her. Zeus disguises himself as Artemis and seduces her, and as a result, Callisto becomes pregnant. When Artemis discovers the truth, she banishes her from her company. Callisto's fate worsens as she is transformed into a bear by Hera, Zeus's jealous wife. Out of revenge for Zeus's infidelity, is forcing Callisto to roam the wilderness as a bear until many years later her own son, Arcas, almost kills her while he's hunting. Just before tragedy strikes, Zeus intervenes by turning Arcas into a bear as well and placing them both in the sky as the constellations Ursa Major, the Great Bear, and Ursa Minor, the Little Bear. Maia, the eldest daughter of the Pleiades, a group of 7 sisters who were the daughters of the Titan Atlas and the sea nymph Pleione. The 7 Pleiades were Maia, Electra, Alcyone, Taygete, Asterope, Kalenio, and Merope. It is said that she was a shy goddess who lived alone in a cave on Mount Cluny. She and Zeus were lovers, and they had a son, Hermes, and also adopted Callisto's boy, Arcas, while she was changed into a bear by Hera. Mnemosyne, a Titaness and goddess of memory, also the aunt of Zeus, born from Uranus and Gaia. It was said that Zeus laid with her for 9 consecutive nights, posing as a shepherd, bringing about the birth of the 9 muses. In Theogony, Hesiod stated that kings, scholars, and poets gained their speech powers from her, and the daughters, the muses. Zeus and Mnemosyne's children, the 9 muses, were Calliope, the goddess of epic poetry, Clio, the goddess of history, Euterpe, the goddess of music and song, Erato, the goddess of love poetry, Melpomene, the goddess of tragedy and chorus, Polyphemia, the goddess of hymns and sacred poetry, Tepasiquire, the goddess of dance and chorus, and Thalilia, the goddess of comedy, and Urania, the goddess of astronomy. Another lover was Leto, the daughter of the Titans Conus and Phoebe. She was known for her beauty and was pursued by Zeus. However, their relationship led to significant drama. When Zeus's wife Hera found out about Zeus and Leto's affair and the pregnancy, she became furious and forbade any land to provide Leto a place to give birth. This led Leto to wander until she found the floating island of Delos, where she gave birth to her twin children, Apollo, the god of music, healing, and light, and Artemis, the goddess of hunt and wilderness. Zeus was also known for seducing mortal women in various forms. One of the most famous stories is his affair with Alcmene, the mother of Hercules. According to mythology, Alcmene was the daughter of King Electron of Mycenae and was married to Amphitryon, a Theban general. However, before Alcmene's marriage to Amphitryon, she was desired by the god Zeus. So eventually, he took on the appearance of her husband and seduced her. Because Zeus disguised himself as her husband, he was able to impregnate her. This resulted in the birth of a half-mortal, half-divine hero, Hercules, known for his immense strength and legendary feats. This dual paternity led to an interesting dynamic in Hercules' life. He was a demigod, born both to mortal and divine parentage. As a result, he possessed incredible strength and abilities, making him one of the greatest heroes in Greek mythology. Hercules' divine father Zeus also played a significant role in his life, often aiding him in his labors and quests. Zeus, clever in his exploits with women, also took on the form of a swan to seduce Leda and fathered the twins Castor and Pollux. The myth states that Leda, the wife of King Tyndareus of Sparta, was that Zeus was smitten by Leda's beauty and wanted to be with her. However, he knew that he couldn't simply approach her directly, as it would anger her husband, King Tyndareus. So Zeus transformed himself into a beautiful swan and approached Leda while she was near a river, some say a pond. Leda, captivated by the swan's grace and charm, allowed it to come close to her. Their children are known as the Disoccuri, or the twins of Disoccuri. Two sets of twins, Castor and Pollux, also known as the Polydeuces, and Helen and Clytemnestra. Castor and Pollux were known for their exceptional bravery and were associated with horsemanship and chivalry. Helen, on the other hand, is famously known as the Helen of Troy, the woman whose beauty led to the Trojan War. Clytemnestra had a tumultuous life, being involved in events leading to the Trojan War, and later being associated with the tragic events of the House of Artius. Lo was a mortal woman, daughter of the river god Inachus. She was known for her great beauty. In some versions of the myth, she was a priestess of Hera. The main part of the story involves Zeus falling in love with Lo, and to protect her from his wife Hera's jealousy and anger, transformed her into a heifer, or a young cow. However, Hera became suspicious and asked for the heifer as a gift. She then set a never-sleeping guardian, the 100-eyed giant Argus, to watch over Lo. Zeus, concerned for Lo's well-being, eventually sending Hermes, the messenger god, to rescue her. Hermes lulled Argus to sleep with music and then killed him. Afterward, Hera placed Argus's eyes on the tail of her favorite bird, the peacock. Lo, now free from Argus's watch, roamed the earth, tormented by the gadfly sent by Hera. This part of the stories is the origin of the name Lo, which means moon in Greek. Zeus later restored Lo to human form, and she became the ancestress of many noble lineages, including the one leading to the hero Perseus. They had two children, Iphagos, Apis, and the Cerosia Kerosa. Danae, a mortal princess and the daughter of King Acrisius of Argos, according to the myth, She was impregnated by the god Zeus, who came to her in the form of golden rain. This resulted in the birth of a son named Perseus, who would go on to become one of the most famous heroes in Greek mythology. Perseus grew up to undertake various legendary quests, including slaying Medusa and rescuing Andromeda from a sea monster. He is known for his resourcefulness, cunning, and use of gifts from the gods, such as a mirrored shield from Athena and the winged sandals from Hermes. Europa was a princess of great beauty, born from Agenor and Agrigope. According to the myth, Zeus saw Europa and fell in love with her. He decided to take on the form of a white bull to approach her without alarming her. Europa was initially hesitant, but eventually climbed onto the back of the bull, and Zeus swiftly carried her away across the sea to the island of Crete. There, he revealed his true identity and seduced her. They had several children together, and Europa became the queen of Crete, and their children are Minos, Sarpedion, and Rhamantheus. The story of Semele and Zeus is a tragic one. Semele was a beautiful mortal woman, born to Cadmus and Harmonia. They began a secret affair during which she became pregnant with his child. Fueled by jealousy and anger, Hera devised a plan to destroy her. Disguising herself as an old woman, Hera befriended her and convinced her to ask Zeus to reveal himself in his true divine form, claiming that only then she could be sure of his identity. Trusting Hera's advice, Semele made a request to Zeus. Unable to refuse her wish, and bound by an oath, Zeus revealed himself in his true divine glory, which was so overwhelming that it incinerated her. However, to save the unborn child, Zeus rescued the premature baby from Semele's womb and sewed it into his thigh. Eventually, after a period of gestation, Dionysus, the god of wine and ecstasy, was born. Zeus was also involved with male lovers. One of the most well-known examples is Ganymede, a handsome mortal who Zeus abducted and brought to Mount Olympus to serve as a cupbearer to the gods. He was said to be one of the most beautiful mortals in the ancient Greece. He was a young prince of Troy, the son of Tros, the founder of Troy, and he caught the attention of Zeus due to his extraordinary beauty. Zeus, who often took the form of various creatures or individuals to interact with mortals, saw him while the young prince was tending to his father's flock on Mount Ida. According to the myth, Zeus was so captivated by his beauty that he transformed himself into an eagle and abducted him, taking him to Mount Olympus, the realm of the gods. Once there, he became the cupbearer of the gods, serving them their nectar and ambrosia. This position was considered a great honor and bestowed upon him due to his exceptional looks and the favor of Zeus. The Olympian Council and Divine Interactions. Zeus presided over the Olympian council, where the gods gathered to discuss and decide the fate of mortals and gods alike. The council was a place of wisdom, power, and intrigue, with each god vying for influence and favor. The 12 Olympian gods and goddesses are Zeus, king of gods and god of the sky and thunder; Hera, queen of the gods and goddesses of marriage, women, and family; Poseidon, god of the sea, earthquakes, and horses; Demeter, goddess of agriculture, fertility, and the harvest; Athena, goddess of wisdom, warfare, and crafts; Apollo, god of music, poetry, prophecy, and the sun; Artemis, goddess of hunting, wilderness, and the moon; Ares, god of war and violence; Aphrodite, goddess of love, beauty, and desire; Hephaestus, god of blacksmiths, craftsmanship, and fire; Hermes, god of travel, communication, and commerce; and Dionysus, the god of wine, parties, and revelry. Zeus's interactions with mortals were varied. He was both a benevolent protector and a stern enforcer of justice. He would occasionally descend to the mortal realm in disguise, testing the hospitality and virtue of unsuspecting mortals. When pleased, he bestowed blessings and protection upon those who showed piety and reverence. It's perfectly demonstrated in the myth even told today's story about Pandora's box or Pandora's jar. According to Hesiod's Work and Days, Prometheus gave fire to mankind against the wishes of Zeus. So said the father of men and gods, and laughed aloud, and he bade famous Hephaestus make haste and mix earth with water, and put it in the voice and strength of humankind, and fashion a sweet, lovely maiden shape, like to the immortal goddess in face of Athena, to teach her needlework and the weaving of the varied web, and golden Aphrodite to shed grace upon her head, and cruel longing and cares that weary the limbs. And he charged Hermes, the guide, to put in her shameless mind and a deceitful nature. So he ordered, and they obeyed. The Lord Zeus, the son of Cronos, forthwith, famous lame god, molded clay in the likeness of a modest maid, as the son of Cronus proposed, and the goddess bright-eyed Athene girded and clothed her. The divine charities and queenly persuasion put necklaces of gold upon her, and the rich-haired Horai crowned her head with spring flowers, and Athena bedecked her form with all manners of finery. Also Hermes the guide contrived within her lies and crafty words and deceitful nature at the will of loud thundering Zeus. And the herald of the gods put speech in her, and he called this woman Pandora, because all they who dwelt on Olympus each gave a gift, a plague to men who eat bread. But when he had finished the sheer, hopeless snare, the father sent glorious Argus slayer, the swift messenger of the gods, to take it to Epidemius as a gift. And he did not think on what Prometheus said to him, bidding him never to take the gift of an Olympian Zeus, but to send it back for fear it might prove to be something harmful to men. But he took the gift, and afterwards, when the evil thing was already his, he understood. For ere this the tribes of men lived on earth remote and free from ills, and hard toil, and heavy sickness, which bring the caries upon men. For in misery men grow old quickly, but the women took off the great lid of the jar with her hands and scattered all these things her thought caused sorrow and mischief to men. Only hope remained there, in an unbreakable home within under the rim of the great jar, and did not fly out at the door, for airy that the lid of the jar stopped her by the will of Aegeus, holding Zeus, who gathers the clouds. But the rest, countless plagues, wander amongst men, for earth is full of evils, and the sea is full. Of themselves diseases come upon men continually by day and night, bringing mischief to mortals silently. For wise Zeus took away speech from them, so there's no way to escape the will of Zeus. So what was once paradise, Pandora created at the command of Zeus by all the gods and goddesses to punish mankind who disobeyed him and his divine law, and the price we paid for the gift of fire. It's important to note that Zeus, like many mythological figures, displayed a mix of positive and negative qualities, and his actions were not always just or benevolent. His behavior towards both gods and mortals in various myths can be interpreted differently, and his leadership style is reflective of the complex and multifaceted nature of Greek mythology. A mythic icon, Zeus's legend endured long after ancient Greece's reign, transcending cultures and inspiring countless works of art, literature, and drama. The Romans equated Zeus with their god Jupiter, further cementing his mythic status. Even in modern times, the concept of Zeus and his thunderbolts continue to captivate the human imagination, serving as a reminder of the ancient Greeks' rich mythology and their profound influence on the world's cultural heritage. The immortal king remains an enduring symbol of power, love, and destiny, shaping the course of ancient mythology and human history. The legacy of Zeus and the Olympians lives on in tales, art, and culture, inspiring countless generations to come. Through immortal Zeus, story serves as a reminder of the complexities and flaws that can exist even within the most powerful beings. The Thunderer remains a central figure in the pantheon of gods, and a symbol of power and majesty. His story continues to captivate the imagination of humanity, reminding us of the eternal struggle between gods and mortals, and the enduring lessons of hubris, compassion, and the quest for justice. From the Olympic Games to the zodiac Aquarius and Taurus to the planet Jupiter, this legendary myth touches our daily lives. The legend of Zeus will forever echo through the annals of history, preserving the myth and magic of the ancient world.